Hello everybody, this is André Meister, and this is a video I'm doing for some students of mine that were asking me about how to be creative in a basic shape or try to be creative in some drawing you're making. So what I'm gonna do here is take a basic shape. I'm doing a very random sketch, something that just pops out of my head without thinking of a theme or something. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna divide this. I'm gonna copy this basic shape, and I'm gonna use three ideas, three different approaches with the same shape. So you can see that you can be creative even though you think that one shape is gonna lead you to just one simple result. So you can see I'm separating them, and now I'm gonna create a new layer so I can hide the other two, so I can concentrate in only one. And one of the first important things you're gonna want to do is try not to use too much the zoom tool. Because if you think about it, when you look at a comic book or something, you're gonna see the full image that the artist wanted you to see. And if you concentrate too much in a detail, you're gonna go astray from what you're going after. So try and keep the zoom like 100%. You can see the image 100% in front of you. So this is a very simple approach. This is pretty obvious. It's gonna be probably a knight or a Templar or something like that. And one of the first things that I keep in mind is that it's not really a bad thing to have something obvious in your drawing. It's pretty much like this is how your brain works. Your brain is used to find shapes and ideas that are related to your experience, and there's actually a place in your brain that is responsible for understanding facial expressions and recognizing people. So it works like pretty much when you look at a cloud or you look at an object and you recognize something. If you look in the front of a car, you're gonna recognize a face. And in a lot of other things you're gonna recognize that. And this is the same thing. If you look at it, this is just looks like a person standing up. And if I wanted to make a creature, I would probably go for different shapes, like weird shapes. Or if I'm gonna do an object, it's gonna be a lot less organic, or maybe not. I don't know what's the approach I'm looking for. But one of the things that I think it's important for everybody to understand is a lot of people get stuck because they're learning on anatomy and perspective, and these are very important things to do to understand them. But it's also important that you realize that they're simply tools, just as much as the paint you're using or the canvas you're drawing on. If you don't understand perspective and you don't understand anatomy, it's probably that you're not gonna have the result that you expected. But that doesn't mean that you have to worry only about that, or that this is the most important thing. So I think what you're really aiming for is first to get the best shape possible, to recognize what you're looking for and use that knowledge to the anatomy knowledge, the perspective knowledge, to get this to be a more accurate representation of whatever you're looking for. So what I'm trying to do here is to simplify what I'm doing. So look at this, look at the fact that I'm not trying to draw his hands, or I'm not trying to draw his armor per se, but I'm representing them. I'm suggesting that they're there. The important thing is to show what you're aiming to show. And a lot of Will Eisner's books say that if you don't need to show something, don't do it. It's not that it's a rule, but it's something that's gonna make you more proficient in showing whatever you want to show, in whatever design you're working on. It also comes down to the client you're working for, because if you're trying to make a character for a game company, you're gonna be requested to use more textures and represent more. But it also comes down to whatever the observer is in a way requesting to see, whatever he wants to see. And what I mean by that is, be objective. Try to show whatever he needs to see so that he understands what kind of character it is. It's more important than showing how many buttons the clothing has. I see a lot of designs that are pretty good, but they show so many features that it's hard to know where to look, because they are so concentrated in making it look realistic that it looks polluted. So try to keep that in mind when you're trying to create something. The objectiveness of whatever you're working on. Okay, the second one, I'm trying to use a different approach, even though I'm using the same shape. What I mean by that is, I'm gonna stay with the idea of a person standing up, but I'm gonna go away from the idea of the knight. So I'm not using a helmet. He's not gonna be wearing those robes. I'm gonna go for a witch doctor or something like that. I don't want it to look like he's anything different than that. So focus here on the feeling. Think about it. Like when you're on the street and you look at a person, you can say that person is stressed out, or you can say that somebody is angry or happy, or even though you don't know the person, or or even though the person doesn't speak at all, you can say something about them. So when I'm drawing, I'm trying to see what feeling I'm looking for, and feel the same way. It's not like I'm gonna scream in the room if I'm gonna do somebody screaming, but it's trying to feel that. It's like being an actor. It's like being in the scene with your character. It's gonna bring a lot of life more to that. I think the best thing I ever learned about character design is that the images is telling a story as well when you're trying to show a character. So his clothes, his attitude, everything you put there is a way to tell who he is. It's pretty much when you look at a person on the street, and you can say that that person is like a stressed out person, or that is a funny guy just by looking at them. The image tells the story. So try to put that in their clothing and their attitude, the position. Try to absorb that. Okay, so now the third one, my favorite, and I'm gonna state here that this is my favorite not because it's easier. Actually, this is the hardest one, and the idea here is, this guy is not enough for me anymore. I don't want to go for the same road again. I'm not gonna do a person standing up, so I'm gonna have to change the focal point. So that's the first idea, to change the focal point. The focal point is that place where you look at first on the picture. Usually the place where a draftsman wants you to look at, and usually it's stated by the higher contrast. And what I mean by higher contrast is not necessarily where there's more detail. It's pretty much where there's more contrast. So think about when you go to a jewelry store. There's the diamond and there's the velvet cushion behind the diamond. And if you think like, if the diamond was the background and the velvet cushion was the things they were selling, if you put a big background of the diamond, it still would give more attention to the cushion, and if you're rather than the opposite. So it's more of the highest amount of contrast. So that's what I'm going to try and change here. So you know when you're making a mistake when you're drawing, like you're drawing something and you remake and you have to erase and you redo it and redo it and redo it, and at some point the mistake gets printed on the paper and you cannot erase it anymore, and you get frustrated because you're gonna do that mistake again and again and again because of that. That's kind of how this is. Your brain is gonna bring you to whatever it recognizes. So the trick here is to change that recognizable place. So try and make a different focal point by thinking on that analogy of the diamond. Like create higher contrast in another part of the drawing. Just be careful not to pollute that too much. It's not like you're gonna pollute the drawing. It's like you're gonna change it. That's pretty much the advantage of working on a computer. Also, check that I'm not, even though I already have an idea here, I'm not stuck in it. This is not your usual anatomy class, so you're trying to bring in an idea, so focus on that. Don't go straight from the idea. The anatomy and the perspective are gonna work alone to inside your subconscious to do that. It's actually the same principle. Like your brain is gonna make the work for you in a way after you've done a lot of research and a lot of studying on that repetition. So focus on whatever you're trying to achieve in your drawing, and after that you think about anatomy if you need to correct things, but don't focus on that. You see, the approach here is pretty much like a language spoken. Like if you're gonna learn a new language like German or French, yeah, at the first time you're gonna have to think too much to make a sentence, and you have to think of the words you're saying. But after a while, you start talking and talking and talking, and this becomes automatic. Like I know you're gonna have an accent, but probably, but overall, you're gonna learn how to speak without thinking, and drawing is pretty much like that. The words and sentences, the way of speaking correctly is related to the anatomy, and the sentence is something that comes from you. So try to let the drawing tell you what it wants to be. I think that's one of the biggest catches about being a professional is sometimes you're gonna have a client that asks you to do something, or you're gonna want to come up with a plan, and sometimes that plan more gets in your way than actually solve the problem. So it's pretty much like a dance, trying to make a plan, make a theme, make something that you're gonna take advantage of, but keep your mind loose so you can say the sentences without thinking too much. And that's part of the illusion. Like that's what the draftsman is. He's an illusionist. He's a guy who creates the illusion that whatever you're looking at it's what it looks like. If you ever think about it, this is not a human being with a backpack and a big hat. It's a representation of that, and that's what I'm going for. I'm not trying to show necessarily how much I know about drawing, but I'm trying to show that this that I'm drawing is actually what I'm drawing, and that's what technique is for. And for last, think about what I'm doing here. Like I'm not getting stuck in the basic shape. Like it doesn't mean I am using the basic shape, but you see I put feet on him. The other ones didn't have feet. Actually, that wasn't part of the basic shape I did. But that doesn't mean that you cannot use different approaches, or even one of the things that's really fun to do is enjoying your own mistakes. Like take advantage of your mistake. If you do a wrong stroke, try to figure a way to use it. And this is also related to style. Like this is my way of composing. This is what I like to do, but you can come from this to any kind of approach you want. Like I can turn this into a realistic painting. I can turn this into an anime-like thing. It's a base. This is my style, and I do this because I like to do like that. But it doesn't need to be like done like that. It's important to you to realize that, and this is a technique also. Even this approach that I'm doing. And this is my compositional style. I can turn this into anything I want, like an animated movie or a comic book or even a realistic painting. It comes down to being free to let your creativity gives you the information first, and then you can turn this into whatever you want without having to be worried about it as you do the drawing. So this is pretty much it. I hope you liked it, and thanks. Okay everybody, so that's pretty much what I was going for. I hope you liked it. If you have any critics or comments, please leave them below. Share it, tell your friends. You can send me an email. So thank you very much.